and I don't have the names of the other people with you, so if you could just introduce yourselves. You've been here before. If you just, the button on the right is the button you press on and off. So you'll know the drill. You've got around 5 minutes, and I'm sure there'll be a few questions as well.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me?
Yes, can hear you. Kia ora.
My name's Hugh Briggs. I'm a retired urban planner.
If you just want to, on the button on the right.
Right,
Yeah, there you go.
Morning, Mr. Chairman. Pete Sinton. I'm chair of the planning group, collective planning group in Warkworth. Semi-retired town planner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Shall I proceed?
Yes, you can. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Mayor Brown, councillors, thank you for the opportunity to speak to our submission today. Rodney is one of Auckland's fastest growing areas. Warkworth alone is expected to grow from around 7,000 residents today to over 20,000. Growth brings opportunity, but it also creates obligation. At present, we're approving the private pieces of growth, housing, business, development, but the public pieces, transport, parks, community facilities, strategic land, are not being identified, funded, or delivered at the same pace. And without those pieces, the district and its settlements do not come together as a coherent whole. Every new dwelling creates demand for roads, parks, stormwater, and community facilities. These assets must either be funded by growth, existing ratepayers, future ratepayers through debt, or not delivered. Rodney development contributions are around $20,000 per dwelling, and this money doesn't go to Rodney today. Yet total infrastructure costs are estimated at $200,000. So how is Council's commitment that growth should pay for growth actually being given practical effect? The real problem is that this is not simply a funding issue. It's a planning issue. Auckland Council has a strong system for regulating development, but regulation is not coordination. What's missing is development planning, a system that aligns private investment with public infrastructure, land needs, and community outcomes. Without that, growth doesn't stop, it fragments. Private plan changes, fast-track applications, site-by-site decisions, these are not the cause of the problem. They are the predictable outcome of the absence of a coordinated framework. There's a clear chain: growth, asset identification, costing, funding, delivery. Too often, that chain breaks at the beginning. If assets are not identified, they're not costed. If they're not costed, they're not funded. If they're not funded, they're not delivered. But development continues. And as it does, land is committed, costs rise, and opportunities are lost. What could have been planned early becomes expensive, disruptive, and difficult to fix later. Bowles Warkworth is not an issue here today, it's a case study. This key strategic site could support public space, community facilities, connectivity, and economic activity. But the concept shown here is not a proposal for decision, it's only an illustration of an opportunity that might well be lost if the site's future is decided without an agreed and clear framework for decision. And these issues can't be resolved at local board level. The key levers sit here with you, with the governing body. Development contributions, infrastructure budgets, strategic land acquisition, growth funding, asset management frameworks, and long-term planning priorities. These determine what is planned, who pays, and whether delivery occurs. This is not a local operational issue. It's a governance, planning, and funding issue requiring your governing body leadership. We're asking for three things altogether: Bring communities and stakeholders into the process early, before decisions are fixed. Develop a Rodney-wide strategy identifying the public assets required, their location, their timing and cost, including strategic land, and align development contributions and growth funding with the actual cost of infrastructure. Because without funding, there's no delivery. And without delivery, there are no complete communities. And to conclude, Mr. Chairman, Auckland Council has a comprehensive system for regulating development. It now needs an equally effective system for coordinating public assets with that development. The objective is not more planning, it's better planning, aligning decisions, anticipating need, and enabling timely delivery. Rodney's growth is already here. We ask you to help us plan together, invest wisely, and build deliberately for generations to come. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to answer questions with my colleagues.
Thank you very, very much. I think the table would largely agree with you. I'll go to the Mayor Brown first. Thank you.
Righto, thanks for this. I think you make very good points, particularly at a time when we're having to battle with the idiocy of fast tracking, which is not even fast tracking. At the nub of this, the things that you're asking us to do are the things that we love to do, but the central government control the whole planning system. We can't, for instance, you're suggesting that we work together and plan things like schools where they're needed, but that requires a decision made in Wellington from the Ministry of Education, who are unaware of what's going on in Warkworth and don't want to know about it. So I think you raise very good points, and I'm going to make sure that we consider them.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mayor. Are there any other questions? Oh, Councillor Sayers, sorry. Kia ora.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. Bill, Hugh and Pete, sorry I can't be there. Sure. I've woke up this morning with a sore throat, so I thought it was better to work from home today. Probably my question might be through you, Richard, not putting you on the spot, but not trying to put you on the spot, but just to get your thoughts around the fact that the in our planning, as far as I understand, in our planning strategies, we have priority areas, and that was probably refreshed quite a few years ago. And since then, Kainga Oria's pulled out, and there's different things that have happened. Warkworth probably should be identified now as a priority area, and therefore get the same attention as those other areas around Auckland that are growing. So, could Richard, are you able, or the staff able to perhaps give some guidance about how Warkworth can be included in that kind of layer, that priority highest layer of thinking around planning? How do we go about doing that, and how can I sponsor that as the local ward councillor?
Yeah, we're just asking because obviously on public forum we can't make any decisions, but I am asking if we can have a report back from the Chief Executive or the Director of Strategy on this. I know that for the Rodney area there's been a lot of structure planning, a lot of planning. The supporting growth work with the government has actually been very good. It's just the funding has never followed that, and we also know that despite us declining and appealing private plan changes, they seem to come back in other ways. And then of course the fast tracks, much to the comment about $20,000 for a DC, the fast tracks are locked in at that lowest possible cost because there's no legal way for us to lock in projects until they're approved. So that's far, far lower than, say, Drury or the Northwest, at $64,000 or $74,000. So we're being locked into a much lower funded situation. Is there anything else you would like?
If I could add to that, just before you go to the officers, if it's helpful, John, before you comment, it's very unusual for rural Rodney people to front up in front of forums, in front of my colleagues like they have done today, and we'll have another presentation shortly from Sanspit. there's stuff going on there that suddenly agitated the community to feel that they have to come and speak to all of us, you know. So that, you know, that I'm just signaling that as that kind of speaks volumes to me as from a conservative area that's going to that feels like it needs to suddenly have a voice at the table. So it's something that's kind of agitated and probably needs addressing. But that's just for my colleagues' information. John.
Thank you, Councillor Sayers, through the chair. Yeah, absolutely, some very key points that we're, as officers, grappling with all the time in terms of growth, getting ahead of the council's own strategies and plans. In terms of the northern area, Warkworth, and more widely Rodney, there has been, as you're probably aware, quite a significant amount of planning to understand the ideal land use for the future growth areas, the infrastructure needs, particularly transport. There has been significant analysis of the transport requirements in the Rodney area through the Sport and Growth Alliance that the Chair mentioned. Your question, Councillor Sayers, around prioritisation for funding, I would advise that is a long-term plan decision that you will be making over the next period of time around locations for prioritising your investment for the funding for the infrastructure needs. I think that's...
Can I just respond to that, Mr. Chairman, to say it's fine to talk about long-term planning and long-term funding, but the reality is the things that are going to be funded haven't been identified. We don't have an integrated development plan for Warkworth, which is the only area which has a significant structure plan, let alone the whole of Rodney. And I previously talked to the governing body about the need for proper management of our roading assets in Rodney in a holistic way. What we're saying in response to those earlier comments is the same thing about Rodney from a development planning perspective. You can't just say that you're locked into things because the fast track or the government controls some of the things you do. At the local level, if we engage the community in a process of planning, then we talk to the Education Department. We can talk to the Ministry of Social Welfare and others and involve them in bringing forward a holistic concept for development which talks about timing, talks about activities, allocates strategic land and works with developers in a constructive way. At the moment, developers see themselves as positioned against Auckland Council, so that ideas, for example, to provide some land which they might have for schools or other public infrastructure assets do not get considered as part of their consenting process. They have to come out of the blue in an ad hoc way. And yet we desperately need to be planning in around Warkworth for our recreational space, the allocation of strategic land to be acquired by somebody, which has got to be paid for, the location of schools and medical facilities. Yeah, all of those are important and not being managed by what Auckland Council thinks is planning. Yeah, the plans so, we have are vision statements. Cool,
I'm not going to have a debate back and forth. I appreciate the advice. I will just say that we do have those conversations. We have put that forward. It would be really good if, and I'm sure you, and I know you are advocating to your local MPs and ministers, because we have tried, even on transport infrastructure, the Hill Street intersection, we prioritised, government took that funding. We put forward the rural road, the road sealing program, the Mayor pushed the largest amount ever. The government will not fund $1 of that. They will not even subsidise it. We're 100% funding the road sealing program. There are many issues that we would love to do, education being one of them, and I think probably one good thing that yes is on its way, the spatial plan, as the way I read the legislation that we're starting to lead in the next few months, is supposed to align government and ministries with our planning. It will be the first time that they go, here's where the Ministry of Health land is, Ministry of Education land. They are saying that the spatial plan process will bring all those things together, because at the moment we can plan all we like, but the statutory, the legal RMA requirements means we do not ever get access to that truth, unfortunately.
Mr. Chairman, can I speak?
I'll just go to Councillor Turner, then Councillor Lee, and then we'll come back.
Right, can I speak?
Yeah.
The issue that's not been mentioned is about the town centre growth. You can't put 20,000 people has been approved in Warkworth through the various plan changes into Warkworth on top of 7,000 people without addressing how are you going to change the township commercially. The structure plan ignored the growth of the town centre, which is a responsibility of this council, right? And the town centre plan did not show how the centre could grow and accommodate that growth. Now, the planning group that's I'm chairing, and we've got 17 professionals wanting to do this work in Warkworth because there's a hole there, it's not being done. And Warkworth has empty shops, $2 shops, and no vision for its town centre. To me, as a planner, that's unacceptable. And one of the reasons we've come today, and we've, in Bill's presentation, we've added a case study of the Warkworth Bowls, which have been there for 100 years, and they need a home, okay? So yes, it is under your control, it's not government. The town centre is purely a function between the landowners there, the community and the council, and it's not being done. So my plea is address that issue. We're prepared to do it and help the council, and it needs to be done for Warkworth. And looking from a developer's point of view, the stronger the town centre is, the more their sections are going to be valued at. So, you know, it's a win-win if it's done properly. And of course, the reverse is the case. If
Yep,
the town
thank
centre is
you.
not good, their
Yeah.
sections won't sell.
Yeah, happy to
Thank
set up. Maybe we could have with yourselves, the local board, and Councillor Sayers, a meeting with the AUDO, because I know that in the structure plan it does enable more height and more commercial activity. We obviously don't have the powers to make private owners put in not a $2 shop, but let's see what potential tools there are to encourage that. But we'll go on to Councillor Turner.
We're making the point, Mr. Chairman, that you've got regulatory planning, but you don't have development planning.
No
And
development.
yet, a proper development plan will show what's needed, when it's needed, where it's needed, and how it will be funded.
Yes.
And the funding tools are yours.
I'm not going to have a debate, but council does not have the ability to control not a $2 shop in a commercial.
No, it's
Yeah.
not.
Councillor Turner.
It's been covered, thank you.
Councillor Lee.
Yes, thank you. I think your argument that council planning, regulatory planning as you call it, has become disconnected from infrastructure, underlying infrastructure, which is one of the main, not the only, but one of the main criticisms coming from the public around Plan Change 120
Yes.
and projected levels of growth that I won't go into. But coming back to Rodney and Warkworth, you're obviously focused on Warkworth, which is a harbour settlement town, city perhaps one day, on the Mahurangi. In terms of strategic land, what do you mean by strategic land?
The strategic land in development planning terms is provision for the public infrastructure that you need to cope with more people. We are at the limit, we would say, for recreational space, for sports fields, playgrounds, for the people that we have. And so that organisations like Bowls Warkworth, which sit in the middle of the town centre in an expensive piece of land, don't know where they might reasonably go because there are no plans for where the sports fields and recreational facilities will be located in the future. That work has not been done. We believe it needs to be done so that proper decisions can be made and that strategic land can be acquired, maybe donated by developers or people. However, it's got to be part of the plan.
So the council
Thank you.
this land as well.
Yeah.
Through that.
Councillor Bartley, and then I'll a brief comment from Councillor Sayers, but we do need to move on. Councillor.
Okay, thank you, Chair. I appreciate that it's a big agenda today. Thank you very much for your presentation. I agree with the comments that have been made that you raised some good points. I've seen and heard you guys come and present here before. And I don't know much about Rodney. I'm over in Maungakiki Tamaki in Glen Innes, and we have the Tamaki Regeneration, which is expecting about 60,000 people to move in, heavily intensified in our area. And I want to know more about what's happening in Rodney. So if you don't mind, if I could come out. And Councillor Lee is always talking about us getting out there. So I'd like to come out and learn a bit more about Rodney, and if there's any lessons that can be learnt from Tamaki, or, I don't know, any help.
Can I say you'd be more than welcome? I'm sure Councillor Sayers will be happy to facilitate that. And you can have a look around and meet everybody and see what the issues are. I think growth is a problem for all local board areas and wards in Auckland. We just have peculiar issues relating to the fact that we're a heavily rural area and distributed settlements.
Oh, yeah, see, that's fascinating. If that's okay, please, Councillor Sayers. Thank you.
No problem.
Councillor Sayers.
Thank you. I'll be very brief, Richard, because I know that you're pressed for time as chair, but it's about localism. I think just having input from the local. I'm really delighted to hear the support from Councillor Bartley, and I'm sure my colleagues are probably feeling the same way. From you, Chair, Councillor Hills, thank you so much, and the Mayor for his comments. I think it's just a way to move forward. The bottom line is, you know, we can't have settlements all over Auckland, whether it's Warkworth or somewhere else, experiencing growth and not catering for infrastructure. If somebody asked me, where's the next park going, councillor, or where's the next car parking building going, or where's the next community facility going, I cannot answer that. I should be able to as a governor. So I think that's what it boils down to. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Councillor. I'll get you to move this and the Mayor will second. And I'll just, we don't speak to public forum, just thank you again for coming. I can tell you we are trying. We've got a resolution up there to get a memo to councillors of all the things that are going on. We know that the structure plan does show where all the approximate parks will go, but once again, it is about
No, it doesn't.
money.
It doesn't.
Well, I'm looking at it right here. But we are passing an open space acquisition policy today, which will go towards the long-term plan, but it does require increased rates and it does require increased DC. So that is us putting our money where our mouth is. And I will say this committee, the last 4 years, is the first time we've rejected plan changes in Warkworth. We are obviously going through court processes on that for 149 hectares. And when we have grounds, we are using the tools that we have, but it is very difficult under the RMA, and it will become even more difficult under the new RMA. We will have less grounds to push back, even for infrastructure. So thank you all. I know that the work you are doing, the information you always send us and have spoken to us at many forums, we will get back to you on what we can and can't do, and we will keep pushing on. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, councillors, and thank you, Mayor, for your support.
All those in favour? Any opposed? Thank you very much. Right, we have public input from the Wynyard Point Waka Structure